Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Ceron, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and as always, I'm out there trying to find the coolest talent. Well, I didn't have to go too far this time. This is right close to home. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan here, and we have a guest, Arianna Dyck. I want to make sure I get that right because your real name is longer. So I know you said everyone calls you Ari. Ari, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's been a really, really busy day, but now it seems to be mellowing out a little bit, and we still got some nice weather here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been very nice weather here recently, so I'm very happy about that.
Well, let's start with here. Where are we here? Where are you, Ari?
Currently, right now, I'm at my home in White City, Saskatchewan, where I moved when I was 8 years old. I was originally born in Banff, Alberta, and I grew up in Canmore, Alberta, and then when I was 8, I moved out here due to my parents' work.
So what did your parents do that moved them into the beautiful land of the living skies?
My dad works in hotels. He's worked in hotels my whole life and before I was even born. And he got a job opportunity out here that he couldn't refuse to be a part of a hotel that was up and coming in Regina. Since then, a few years ago, my dad broke away from that hotel and now does other things, mainly consulting for other hotels. And he kind of travels all around. But yeah, that's what brought us to Saskatchewan. And I'd say it was a very good move. I thoroughly enjoyed growing up here since I was 8.
Well, you know, you got a cowboy hat on, you got a rodeo badge on there. I don't know how much of that. There you go. You got the sash and the tassels.
Yeah.
I mean, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
And this is not a BC look.
No, it's not.
So you are 100%, I feel like, now acclimated to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I have. I'm very much acclimated to Saskatchewan. My friends still say I have a bit of the Alberta twang, I guess you could say. Just some of just sometimes the way I speak or the certain words I say differently than a lot of my friends. Yeah. But I guess that's just because I was born in Alberta and I first learned to speak there.
Yeah.
So my friends like to poke fun of me at it, but I like to also say I'm Saskatchewan raised because I was raised from when I was 8 and I was still quite a small child, not really knowing a lot about what the world was like.
Yeah, you bet. And I just got back from Alberta. I was just out there on the weekend, and yeah, they got their own Canadianese. That's for sure.
I like to say Alberta is the Texas of Canada.
Well, it's funny because we had the same conversation, and me and a group of friends were out in Airdrie, Alberta, and they were like, "We're the Texas of Alberta." I said, "Well, Saskatchewan's the Alabama." So I said, "I don't know if that's good or bad," but they were all like, "I get it, tracks, we got it."
I mean, I could see the comparison.
Yeah,
I can see the comparison.
So tell me, Ari, you are a welder now, right? So that's how you got on the show. You're a welder, and I got given your contact because they're like, "How do you not know this person? She's right in your backyard. You better get her on the podcast." I was like, "All right, cool." But then I started reading the story and getting a little bit more of the history of what you've done, and you got a couple different kind of careers going on at the same time here. So let's talk about you growing up because, on one side, you're a rodeo queen, and on the other side, you're a welder. And I feel those match really well. Right? I feel they're kind of in the same world. Do you agree?
Yeah, they are definitely in the same world. Especially the stuff I weld. I weld cedars. So I weld farm equipment, which fuels the agriculture industry, which helps then fuel the rodeo industry. So I am connected to rodeo through my welding. And I've also worked on a bunch of panels for horses and stuff. And I've made panels for other people and for myself. So it's definitely helped me with being able to repair things out the barn as well. So that's super nice.
And how did you get into welding in the first place? It sounds like your dad was in a professional, type of work. Was there any tradespeople in your family, or how did you stumble into it?
So, yes, my dad works in a more business office industry, and so does my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I have one uncle who he has passed who was in construction. And he was with his company for a long time. I think like 60 something years. Like he was in there for a while. But the welding I completely found on my own. No one pushed me in that direction. In fact, people tried to push me to go to university and college.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah,
No.
no, that's not really for me. And yeah, in grade 9, actually, when I went into high school, I went to Greenhill High School in Balgonie, Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
And in grade 9, you do what's called a PAA rotation. So it's all your practical applied art. So there's construction, welding, cooking, sewing, photography, and just like a whole bunch of like more artsy classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was in the welding one, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool being in grade 9. I was like, this is so cool.
It's pretty bad.
And then, yeah. So then the teacher of welding said, hey, like, you're actually really good at this. Come and take it as a grade 10 class next year. And I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Didn't really think anything of it. And then grade 10 came along and I actually really, really enjoyed it even more. And I was the only girl in my whole school for all 4 years.
Really?
I was
And
the
Greenhill's
only
a
girl.
big school.
Yeah, Greenhill's not a small school. It's a rural school. So we get a lot of small towns that come to Greenhill, as well as we actually do get some people from the city that come to
White
Greenhill.
City, Pilot Butte, right? Like,
Yeah. We have kids from Indian Head, and Qu'Appelle, some even from Fort Qu'Appelle too drive out. They drove themselves, or there was a school bus at one point. But yeah, like out of the whole school of almost, oh god, how many is there now? Like 700, 800 kids. It's a big school. I was the only girl for all 4 years of high school. I was the only girl that took welding. So I did get poked fun at a lot for it.
Wild.
Like the guys would poke at me and all of that, but I became really good buddies with a lot of them, and a lot of them I'm still actually really good friends with today. And I actually work with one of the guys that I welded with in high school, which is pretty cool. And he actually is dating like one of my best friends too. So that's pretty neat. And
that's very small town stuff.
Yeah, it's very small town stuff still. Even though I do live in a very populated area, it is still very small town vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just throughout high school, I took it all the way grade 9 to 12. And then when it came time in senior year, like, all right, people, what do you want to do in the future? Like, we're going to shove you out the door pretty soon. I went to the career counselor and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go to university or college. And they were like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to weld. And it kind of like stunned him a little bit because he was actually quite new to the job. I think he got hired like the year before. So he was still trying to like get used to all the students slowly. And it kind of shocked him. He was like, well, like, are you sure? And I was like, nope, this is what I want to do. You're not going to change my mind. And stuff like that, because like my welding also helps pay for my horses and my rodeo and my fuel for all of that. So it worked out quite nice. And then I have a life skill as well. I can go fix stuff all the time, which is great. And I don't have to hire someone else. Yeah. So then I graduated and I was supposed to go to Saskatchewan Polytech for a pre-employment course, but I actually ended up withdrawing from that. And I said, no, I would like to actually just go straight into an apprenticeship. I want to know exactly what I'm getting myself into right off the bat, so that I'm not spending money getting a little piece of paper that says, yeah, like you passed the course. Okay, now go find a job. I didn't want to do it that way, because then it kind of defeats the purpose of why I didn't want to go to university or college, even though it's a trade school still.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just want to jump straight into it. I want to make money. I want to know what it's all about.
You already had some experience. It's not like you were like completely green, right? You'd already been taking it in high school, so.
No, exactly. And for me, I did actually take a free course that Sask Polytech was offering to women at the time. It was called Metalworking Madness at the Saskatchewan Polytechnic campus in Regina here. And it was every Tuesday and Thursday night. Like, you'd go in and they teach you a little bit more about welding or whatever.
What
and it
year
was very
that?
useful.
What?
Yeah, and it was very helpful.
But what year was it that you took the camp? I'm curious because I taught at Sask Poly for like 8 years, and I was like, "Have I
It
seen you
was
before?" Like,
it was so okay. I graduated in 2022. So yeah, it was the spring of 2022.
I
Kind
was
of
gone by
March.
then. I was gone by then. Yeah.
It was February. It was over February and March of 2022, I believe, that I took it because I know I took it over my birthday that year.
I left in 2020,
And
so
oh, just shy of 2 years.
yeah, I just missed. Yeah. All right. Well, that's so
Yeah.
so you didn't so you even kind of knew the expectations even of the bigger players, but how were you able to find a job? Like that's sometimes without that piece of paper, it's hard to find a job, right?
Yeah, I will say it was extremely challenging to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
I applied probably at every single place all over Regina, except for like the odd few where like I got told by my teacher or other people like, no, don't apply there.
Not good.
It's not even
Yeah.
worth your time.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, sounds good. And I'm not going to say company names because I don't want to bash anybody.
Mhm.
Everywhere is a great place if you're a good worker, and they'll love you as long as you have the dedication. PSA announcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm the type of person where I don't like applying to jobs online.
Mhm.
I like to walk in, here's my resume, and
Yeah.
I want them to see me. And because of that, actually, people were taken aback because typically people don't do that anymore. We all apply on the
Yeah.
online job sites and all of that now. But I often too, I'd hand in my resume and be like, yeah, like I want to weld, like I'm fresh out of high school, I have experience. Here's the experience I have. And a lot of the time they'd look me up and down and brush me off. And they're like, yeah,
because you're
yeah,
female,
we'll
young
call
girl.
you. We'll
Yeah.
call you. Yeah. And I'm actually I'm really short too. I'm 5'5" now, I think. And when I graduated high school, I was a little bit shorter than that.
Okay,
So I
well,
am quite small
let's
and I
back up
don't
here.
have a lot of muscle.
Here's my PSA. I'm like 5'6", so that's not real short. It's perfect height. All right, we good.
True.
We good.
I have been told now I'm not as short as I think I am, but maybe it's just because I have really tall friends that I
Yeah.
just think I'm really short. But yeah, and like I got turned away a lot. And then people are like, "Oh, well, like you're fresh out of high school, like we need someone with at least like a year's experience." Okay, well, how am I supposed to get that year's experience? And they wanted on the job experience. Well, how am I supposed to get that if no one's gonna hire me?
Yeah, it's
Like
catch,
that.
catch 22. Yeah.
It's not making any sense here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually found a job, and it was through the welding career fair that Sask Polytech had actually held.
Mm-hmm.
And I one of the owners that was there that had a company approached me and said, like, I think like you'd be a really good fit. Like you should come do a weld test and an interview and see how it goes. So I said, yeah, absolutely. And I had known of this place because there was a person who was a few years older than me who actually works there. And like him and I had stayed in touch because he was also in welding just
Prior
2
to
years ahead
yeah.
of me. Yeah. And so like, and his friends were my friends. And like, so I knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? Like,
A chance
sure.
is better than no chance. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so went there, did a weld test. I actually got hired. But then as I think it was by the end of my first week, I was just, this place just wasn't a good fit for me.
Just wasn't
Like,
digging it. Was it
yeah,
manufacturing or was it on site or was it ag or mining or?
It was more aggregate and mining.
Mm-hmm.
And I did mostly a lot of the small stuff too because I was new to the company as well, and that's typically what companies will do.
Yeah.
Is if in a shop setting they'll have you welding the smaller stuff first to just see your skill level, and you work your way up. I actually ended up leaving that place about a month into the job just because it wasn't a good fit for me, and on top of it, I actually got a lot of sexism and
Negative
really
commentary.
negative and nasty comments towards me being a female. And like me and the other girl that were working there, she was like, yeah, like she was like, don't feel bad if you don't want to stick around here. Like she was debating leaving too, and she had been there for about a year, and I'm surprised she stuck it out that long. considering some of the comments her and
That's
I were getting
terrible.
was,
That's terrible.
yeah, and it just wasn't nice. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. And then on top of it, I was actually supposed to move out to BC, but then so I was like, well, perfect. I will quit. I'll pack up my life, move
Get
to
out of
BC.
here. Yeah.
No big deal. Like it's fine. So then BC ended up actually falling through, obviously, because I'm still in
Yeah.
Saskatchewan, which I'm not mad at
Yeah, it
because
happens. Things happen
all
for
my
a
friends are
reason.
here. Yeah. And it's BC to me, I like visiting it, but I don't think I could actually live there. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful province, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so then as I was sitting here like over the summer, I was like, hey, like I really want to weld, like let's try and find another job in the area. So then actually that's when my friend who I currently work with said, yo, where I work's hiring,
Mm-hmm.
resume, I'll put in a good word for you. He's like, I know how you can weld. Like I've seen your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Apply. He's like, I'll go talk to my manager. Great.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I put in my resume. He said, just apply through Indeed. I'll put in a good word for you. Like I'll tell them that's where you applied and and hopefully they call you. But yeah, absolutely. So that's what I did. I think the next day I got a phone call. Like, yeah, we want to bring you in for a weld test. Blah, blah, blah. All right, great. Went in the next day, did my weld test, did my interview. That same day, they called me and offered me a job.
Awesome.
So I was like, absolutely. They're like, when can you start? I was like, I can start now.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I went in, I think the next week. Yeah, the next week, because it was like the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So I went in, started Monday
Monday.
the following week. And I've been there ever since. And it's almost been 2 years. It'll be 2 years at the end of October that I had been working there.
Awesome. And where is it that you work? Are you allowed to say or?
I can say I've made it very clear where I work on social media on my Rodeo Queen page. I work at Seedmaster.
Cool.
Out in it's technically Emerald Park. Even because White City and Emerald Park are connected, but they're two separate towns. It's in Emerald Park. And I really like it there. The people are really
I've heard good things. I've heard lots of good things about the people there. And years ago, I trained a whole group of Filipinos that had come in, and they all ended up working up out there, and they loved it. They said that they got treated really well.
I wonder if it's the same people that still work there.
Probably. I think a couple moved into like supervisor jobs and stuff. So.
Oh yeah. Oh baby, there's a few of them in the supervisor jobs. So yeah. But yeah, like they're all super real. Like all the Filipinos there, they're so nice.
Yeah,
Like and like they're all amazing and they're so sweet and so nice and it's so fun. And actually, I think now there's 4 welders.
Women,
we just hired another one, which is so cool to see that there's now 4 of us. Yeah. So there's 2 of us are on day shift and then the other 2 are on we call it the afternoon shift, but night shift.
Evenings, yeah. So that transition, like, I mean, it's a negative experience that you had right out with the first job. Did that damper your goals at all? Did that make you think like maybe this isn't the right trade for me? Or were you like, I just got to figure this out?
No, it did the opposite. It lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like
there's something better.
I can do this.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a better company out there that I can go work for. I was like, I can do this and I want to show people that I can do this because people constantly told me no. People said, you can't do that. You can't do that. And kept putting me in this box. And I was like, okay, well, I don't like this box. I want a bigger box.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no box.
Or no box at all. Yeah.
I like the no box at all, personally. But it's like it gave me the determination I needed to show people that I can do this. Like, why are you telling me no? You don't even know if I can do this.
Yeah,
you haven't even seen me try. Yeah. So it completely lit a fire in me. And I'm grateful that I followed through with it because I love where I work. I love the stuff I work on. And I love that it's 6 minutes from my house. Like,
perfect.
It's great.
Yeah, perfect. And, so, like, that's a part of your life is the welding. Now, What did your family think about you as you went through this process? You know, school, not going to college, not even trades college, just right, you know, raw dogging it into work. And then what did your family think? Were they like, are you sure you want to do this? Or were they supportive or?
They were very supportive, actually, which helped me a lot too with wanting to pursue it,
Mhm.
because typically, like, you see families, they want their kids to follow their footsteps.
Right.
And a lot of people thought I would, like, follow in my dad's footsteps and become a business admin or like work in hotels. Or a lot of people actually thought I'd be a vet.
'Cause you
Just
love
because of my
animals.
love for, yeah, like my love for animals, my love for horses and all of that. People thought it was going to be one of those two things. So then when I came out and was like, yo, I'm going to go weld. See y'all later. They they really everyone was kind of shocked, but then they were all really supportive of it, actually. They were like, yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. So they were the first people that said, yeah, you can do this. And so that also helped because it solidified that, hey, yeah, like I'm on to something here. I can do something with this. So it really helped as well.
Yeah, and you know, being in Saskatchewan, we do have a lot of that old boys club. We do have a lot of that, you know, like homophobia, sexual misrepresentation, lots of like those bad things that we really gotta like in my opinion get rid of completely. It's all dumb. But it still lingers on, and it's something that does turn women away, you know, or people of other genders or people of other sexual orientations. It pushes them out of this field, which is really sad because we need welders and we need good welders. You know, how, I guess now that you're in a more comfortable place with a shop with 4 other women, do you like to advocate for the trade? Like, are you out there trying to get other women into it, or, you know, like, what's your stance on it now from where you are today?
Where I am today, yes, I am an advocate 100%, not just for women in the trades, but for I advocate for do what they want.
Yeah.
And being told no should not prevent anybody from doing what they want to do and pursuing their passions or goals. Because typically when people tell us no, we get in our heads and we start thinking, oh, like maybe I can't do this or
There's a
but
reason, yeah.
yeah, like there's a reason why people are saying no. There's a reason why I keep failing. Learn from your failures and be better. Take it as a learning opportunity and think, okay, so this way didn't work. What if I alter it and try this way? Maybe it'll work better. And that's where I think failure is a big part of life. It's a big life lesson that can teach us things. And I've had lots of failures in my life. Point blank period. I'm only 20 years old. I've had failures. I know I'm gonna have more failures, but all I have to do is just sit back. This is what happened. How can I move forward? What can I change? And it's a good way to look at things and tune out the people who are telling you no. People will only make you feel inferior if you let them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing that people need to know, because
you're giving
you
them
can
that
do
power.
whatever you want. Yeah, because then they're taking your power away from you. You need your power to succeed in life and to just be happy. If you're at a job where you're miserable, go find a job where you won't be miserable.
Right.
I don't care what it is. Follow what you want. Don't just go, okay, this is just a good way because I'll have a good life.
Right.
Like I'll have a luxurious life or whatever. If you are in a job and sure, maybe you might not make as much money, but you're happy doing that job, you're going to be 10 times more successful than the people who are going to a high paying job and they're miserable.
Yeah,
That's
well,
how I
and
see
your
it,
job
at
is
least.
just your job. If you're in a miserable
Exactly.
job, you're going to go home and be miserable to your family, and that affects all the other things in your life. So,
Oh,
you know,
exactly, 100%. And so that's why I advocate all the time. I've advocated it on my Rodeo Queen social medias and all of that, and just everywhere in person during speeches. I preach this everywhere, basically. Do what you want. Don't let other people tell you what to do. That's that.
That's that.
Move on with your life. If you lose people because you want to do this instead of that, then they were never meant to be in your life anyways.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, we've already gone almost half an hour, but I want to get into the other half of your life. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here. We'll be back here with Arianna Dyck, Rodeo Queen / Superior Ultimate Welder on the CWB Association podcast. So don't go anywhere.
The CWB Association is new and improved and focused on you. We offer a free membership with lots of benefits to anyone interested in joining an association that is passionate about welding. We are committed to educating, informing, and connecting our workforce. Gain access to your free digital publication of the Weld magazine, free online training, conferences, and lots of giveaways. Reach out to your local CWB Association chapter today to connect with other welding professionals and share welding as a trade in your community. Build your career, stay informed, and support the Canadian welding industry. Join today and learn more at cwbassociation.org.
And we are back here on the CWB Association podcast. I'm Max here with Ari, who's in my home province of Saskatchewan. Now, prior to this, we were talking about your welding career and how it became. And one of the things I've noticed on this podcast lots, and I've mentioned it a few times throughout the years, is that usually the people that really excel in the trades tend to come with a background of some type of competitive sport, music, theater, whatever it is, but some type of extracurricular activity that set them up to be in this competitive world, because welding is competitive. You compete with yourself every day. You compete with the people around you to be the best welder, the best fitter, the fastest, the cleanest. It's just that type of trade. So I find that the people that are really good at it have some of that already in their life. Now, we've mentioned it a few times. You're a rodeo queen. Talk to us about that journey. So when did you start getting into rodeos, and when did it become like a serious thing for you?
Well, so when I was little, even when I lived in Alberta, I loved horses. Whenever we would like go on road trips or drive down to the camper, and I'd be like, Mom, horses, or like, can we go ride? And I was always asking to go for trail rides and all that. So like at a super young age, my parents were like, oh, okay, she really likes horses. Okay, we're going to see where this goes. Because all my parents thought was, this is going to drain our bank account.
Yeah, they're not
horses,
not cheap.
They're not cheap. Let me tell you. I have one. She's expensive. But yeah, so then as I got older and more so in high school, back up. Elementary school was when I started riding a lot more, and I went to Dallas Valley Ranch Camp, which took riding lessons there. I took summer camp there, and it was really fun. I loved the horses. That was my favorite part of summer camp. So then one day I was like, Mom, I really want to go to the barrel racing camp that they have there. Because back then they had a barrel racing camp, which was for girls only, because women typically only barrel race. There are some men that do it, but typically a few years ago, it was only really women that did it. And because women wanted a sport in rodeo that they could compete as well. So then that's how barrel racing became a thing. But the downside to going to this camp was you had to have your own horse. And wow. I didn't.
That's tough.
Yeah. Because typically, like barrel racers, you have a barrel horse. Like that's you and your horse. Like you are in tune with each other. You're a team. And I didn't have a horse yet because we live in White City. So like I don't have an acreage. I have a small backyard. And like we didn't know where to start with getting a horse. But I had been begging my parents for one for years at this point. So then we approached the barn manager. Her name was Tanya. She was a sweetheart. She sadly has passed away, but she really kickstarted my horsemanship career, which I am very grateful for. And she said, don't worry, I have a horse for you. Apply, like register for the camp.
Yeah.
I will give you a horse. And at the camp, this is your horse. You own, to other people, you own
this
her.
This is yours, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Awesome. So then first day of the barrel camp came along. She put me on a horse. So at this point I had been volunteering and going to summer camp at this camp, and I had never seen this horse before. So Tanya puts me on her. We go about the first day. At the end of the day, she comes to me and says, I'm surprised you didn't get bucked off. And I look at her, and I'm about, 13
Yeah.
13 at this point, I think 13 or 14. And I go, what do you mean? Like this horse was, I'm like,
Really
isn't this
nicely
just
behaved,
a
yeah.
camp horse? Like,
Yeah.
what? And she goes, this horse hasn't been ridden in 5 years. And I go,
Wow.
oh, dang. And she goes, every single time we have tried to ride this horse, everyone would get bucked off. Like, she would do whatever it took to get that person off of her back, except me. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So then end of camp comes, and then at this point, I'm volunteering down at the barns because I technically wasn't old enough to work. So I was volunteering, and all throughout the next year, I was riding this horse. Her name is Ava, by the way. I was riding
Shout
her.
out
I was the
Ava.
only person riding her. And then the next camp comes along because I wanted to go to the camp again because it's barrel racing camp. Barrel racing was the rodeo sport I wanted to do. I loved it. I was enamored with it when I was a little girl. Then the first day of barrel camp comes around, and like I go to say hi to Ava, and Tanya hands me a piece of paper. And she goes, congratulations. And I look at her really confused, and I open up the piece of paper, and it's ownership papers for Ava.
Wow. That's
So my
huge.
parents surprised me for my 14th birthday, I believe. It was a late 14th birthday present. And they had bought her for me.
Wow.
Which was so special. Yeah, and it was I think I started crying I did cry that day. I'm tearing up right now talking about it. But and it was amazing. And so that really started right there, that journey. And then from there, rode Ava all the time. She was mine. Like I could go see her whenever I could, feed her all the treats I wanted. Like she was mine.
She'd be
And
excited to see you. Because they understand too. They're not dumb, right?
Yeah.
They get
no,
it.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like she understood what, like, because like you could feel the dynamic change at that point. And she knew that I
was her human.
Now, yeah, I was her human. I was her mom, essentially. And to me, that was something that was super special because it just further solidified the bond that her and I had. Because Tanya had said, we have a bond unlike any other bond she had seen at that point in her life. And she's seen a lot of horsemanship stuff over the years. So for her to say that to me was truly special. So then ever since then, throughout high school, I was barrel racing, and barrel racing just in jackpots. So there's different levels to rodeo, I guess you could say. The baseline where people start off with like training horses is typically with jackpots. A jackpot is like, I like to say, a mini rodeo where it's just one event.
Okay.
And yeah, so right now I still barrel race with the Saskatchewan Barrel Racing Association. And there's one for Alberta, one for Manitoba. Pretty sure there's one for BC as well, and probably a few other provinces. And I've been barrel racing with them for years now. I think 6 years. Yeah, 6 years because I started in high school. And I never did high school rodeo because when I was really getting into it, COVID hit.
Oh, perfect timing.
And shut everything down. And so I never competed in high school rodeo because COVID hit and everything kind of went to a standstill, and so did my horse, and so did my barrel racing for a little bit. And then so then after my senior year, I started barrel racing again a lot more, and then ever since then I've just been barrel racing whenever I can. If I can make it down to a jackpot, I'm going.
Yeah.
Just because I love it. It's so much fun, and Ava loves her job. She loves running. It's just what she does.
Yeah.
So then been in the horsemanship for a long time. I've worked with I've been to clinics, worked with a whole bunch of other horsemen people, including my cousin. My cousin has impeccable horsemanship skills, and I've learned a lot from her too. She lives closer up north, Saskatchewan.
Okay. Cool.
And they have a huge cattle ranch operation up there, and it's
Lots
so
of
fun.
space,
I
yeah.
used to go up there every single summer, and I'd learn from them. I'd help with the cows, and I'd help check cows with them on horseback, and it was so fun. They do things really the old school ranching way, which is, I love it. It's so much fun. You're on horseback for like 10 hours a day, and the horses love it. You love it. And it's so much fun. But yeah, so then last year, around this time, actually, I'm scrolling on Instagram and then I see an ad for Canadian Western Agribition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's this? So I look closer and it's an ad for a rodeo queen competition. They're looking for their first ever rodeo queen. And I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So I immediately ran upstairs to my mom and I went,
You think I could be a
Mom,
rodeo queen?
you think I could? I was like, should I apply?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. She was like, you know what you're doing. Go for it. Try it.
Mhm.
So then I did, and I'm writing my application and filling out everything, getting everything prepared. There's so much stuff that goes into a rodeo queen application. It's insane. They want like 3 bios, like 5,000 pictures of you to like post on social media
Wow.
and a bunch of other things. Oh, Canada is even more crazy, but it's worth it. And so, yes. So then last second, it's like the last day to apply, and I'm running to the office because I wanted to hand it in person because the CWA office is just in Regina.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm running there after work trying to get there in time, and I get there with like 5 minutes before they close. And I was like, I'm here to apply for Miss Rodeo Agribition. And they're like, oh, absolutely. So they took my application, and then, yeah, it was just a waiting game. And then I heard that yeah, like we want you to run, blah, blah, blah. So then, yeah, I ran, and then I ended up winning.
So was it like an in-person thing where people voted, or was it done online? Like, what did you have to do for that?
There's no voting process, which that gives me mixed emotions because I do think the public should have some say in a rodeo queen, and not just judges. But it is just a judged event. And so for Miss Rodeo Agribition, it's held over the course of 2 days. It's usually the first 2 days of Canadian Western Agribition, the Monday and Tuesday. And then the crowning is always the Wednesday night at the rodeo, which is the free night. So you go through 4 things. You have your horsemanship, which you're given 2 patterns that you have to go do those reining patterns on a horse you had never met before. So like you meet this horse 5 minutes later, you're on its back and you're doing patterns in front of judges. Like it's a judged event. So then you have your public speech. So you have to write a speech 3 to 5 minutes long, somewhere in there. Sometimes like it can be anywhere in there. Typically, if you go over 4.5, 5 minutes, if you go over that, typically you will start getting docked just because that is a long time to have people's full attention. People will start getting bored. And then you have your written exam. So I sit down, they give me an exam, and I have to do it. And it's about your rodeo knowledge, your Canadian professional rodeo knowledge about rodeo queens, and specifically Miss Rodeo Canada. And then just more rules about rodeo and equipment wise. So what's bareback rigging? What's the difference between this flank strap and that flank strap? Which one's legal? Which one's not? Because there is legal and illegal flank straps, and you can only use legal ones for your ride to be classified and approved, and you get your points. So then after that, you have a personal interview, which is a job interview, just like any other job interview. You sit down, panel of judges in front of you, they ask you questions. What does it mean to be rodeo queen to you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's some of your successes? Like, who are you as a person? It's really time. That's where the judges get to know you really good on a personal level. And yeah, so that's the 4 things for Miss Rodeo Agribition that the contestants have to do. And yeah,
you did
I
well?
got told my personal interview was really good. So I'm so happy that my personal interview went really well because I'm such a personable person. It was nice that I was able to connect with the judges on that level, and they could see just me in person, just chatting and how I would be just with anyone else that I had just met for the first time.
Yeah. And how'd you do on the horsemanship part?
The horsemanship part, I did really well, according to what Agribition said. They said that I did really well, and I'm really thankful for that because the horsemanship part I find is the most nerve-wracking part because, like, being a rodeo, what differentiates a rodeo queen pageant from, like, a normal beauty pageant is the horsemanship.
Is the skill
Because
stuff,
it's that's your skills portion, or like your hidden talent portion of it. And it can be nerve-wracking because you're on a horse that you have never met before, and you have no idea what this horse is going to do. You don't know if it's broke, if it's green broke. You don't know if it's going to start bucking on you or not.
Although they're not likely to give you a dangerous animal, but yeah.
Typically, they're not going to put their potential rodeo queens in danger, because they need us alive and well if we're going to be able to do this.
And for the listeners from around the world, the Canadian Western Agribition, held here in Regina, is one of the largest in the world. It is, people are always like, oh, Dad, what does Regina have? Do they know how to host big events? It's like, yo, we host some of the biggest events on the planet in this little city. When it comes to agriculture and farming, we're like the center of the planet. So really, like, some of these things are massive.
Yeah. I believe last year we had over 150,000 people attend, like, total for the days.
Yeah.
That's how many admission tickets we sold. It's 6 days, 6 days.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a full week event. It's absolutely massive. Like, last year I got to talk to some pretty cool people. Like, a lot of people, yes, from Regina, but there was a lot of people from Alberta, so many people from BC, Manitoba, the States. I even talked to someone from Australia and New Zealand. That was really cool. And I talked to some people from France. And
people are bringing the fanciest animals, the bulls, the cows, the horses, the sheep, the alpacas, like all the like really nice breeds, exotic breeds. And there's actual auctions, there's actual like sales of animals. And then there's the equipment manufacturers all showing off the latest equipment and squeezes and animal penning. And it's a really huge event for the city and for the economy.
For the world.
Yeah.
It's really big. I think we're classified as the biggest agriculture show and trade show in the world, I believe. And that's so cool to see that this tiny city. I mean, Regina's not tiny by any means, but compared to a lot of other cities,
200,000 is not a lot.
And like to host such a big grand event and be named that biggest event in the world is so cool to see. And for me to be able to represent that on a more national level is really awesome, because then it gets more people in. It shows people different sides, and it's fun because I get to be that face for the organization for a whole year. And to me, that's truly special. And to be the first one ever as well. I'm the first ever Miss Rodeo Agribition for Canadian Western Agribition.
You're in history now.
And I've made history, and I'm so excited to continue and have many more other Miss Rodeo Agribitions after me, which I think is going to be so cool that Saskatchewan finally now has a more set rodeo queen program that allows women the chance to evolve their connections and learn new things and create opportunities for them for the future.
And plus, you're a welder. So, like, I mean, the bar's pretty high. Like, I mean, first ever Canadian Western Agribition rodeo queen, who's also in the trades, so not a typical female dominated field of work. So this is a male dominated work, but you are coming in to represent that the woman can do it all. Like I follow lots of great female welders, and I even just love some of their names, like Wire and Lashes and stuff like that. I love it when it's like you don't have to give up being feminine to be a welder. And even for the guys, you can be feminine and be a welder, because it's not all about being like rah, tough guy, blah, blah, blah. That's actually the ugliest part of the trade. That's the part of the trade none of us like, is that is that ugly rah dude pro stuff.
Like, I can do it by myself.
Yeah, like, get over yourself. No, like, that's not how it works. Like I tell stories all the time. Like, I'm old, and when I came up in welding, it was a lot worse, to be honest. And within 20 years, I saw almost every big, tough, loudmouth dude be on lifetime disability because they blew their back, they blew their knees, they blew their shoulder because they'd rather brag about being strong than use the forklift or the crane, and they ruined themselves and they ruined their careers. Like, well, that didn't work out for you, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, 100%. And it's nice that I get to show these two sides of me. Where like, look, like I can be super pretty. I can have my hair nice and curled. I can have makeup on my face. I can dress nice. But then also I can take all of that off and I can still do a job that I enjoy. And it's nice that I have those two sides to me. At first, not gonna lie, it was really tricky. I went through like the personality disorder thing where I was like, I feel like I have two lives. What do I do with it? Oh boy. But now I found a way that I can incorporate it. And I'm so grateful for that because it shows people like, hey, like you can do multiple things. Two of them, they can be two completely different things and you can look two completely different ways. But at the end of the day, if you love doing them, go do them. And for me, that was the biggest part was I love doing both these things. I love being a welder and I love being a rodeo queen and a barrel racer. And I love being in the rodeo industry. And it's nice that I have found a way that I can combine both of them.
Now, did you have any like pageant background at all? Like for you to just be like, you know what, I'm going to jump into a rodeo queen competition. That's a big jump, man.
Yeah, I honestly had no idea what I was getting myself into until I got there. Like they gave us a little study guide and they said, okay, this is what you have to know and this is what you have to do. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, and like I had known what rodeo queens were, obviously, because I grew up in Alberta.
Yeah.
And they have rodeo queens galore over there. It's so crazy how many they have. And they're all super nice too. I've met a lot of them and I'm now really close friends with a few of them too. So that's really nice to see that we have that sisterhood bond as well. But so like I had known what rodeo queens were, specifically Miss Rodeo Canada and the Calgary Stampede Princess.
Right.
Those were the two that I mainly knew more so Calgary Stampede Princess because like I'd see her in the parade every single year because my parents would take me to the Calgary Stampede and watch the parade. So it was like the best time ever when I was a little girl. I loved it. But I didn't really know the level of like severity level of what it meant to be a rodeo queen. And so I'm like, I went through the process like being myself and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm standing down on that dirt and I realized, I said, you know, I'm going to be sad if I don't win.
Yeah, I kind of want this now.
I was like, I had wanted it, but I like at the time I was like, I'm just going to do it. Go have fun. If I don't win, whatever. I'm a very whatever person. Whatever happens. I'm grateful for the experience, no matter the outcome. That's just the type of person I am because then I shake it. I learn from it and I move on. And that's just how I've always operated. But then, yeah, I was standing down on that dirt and I heard my name get announced. They're like, ladies and gentlemen, your 2023-2024 Miss Rodeo Agribition is Arianna Dyck. And when they said my name, the whole room went in like uproar and applause, but I didn't hear any of it.
No, you were just
I blacked out completely in that moment.
Yeah.
And then I started crying. And I was like, because I was
Just
so stunned on what
it's
had
huge.
just happened.
Yeah,
I was like, I've never won anything in my entire life. Like, what's going on? Why do I have this big change? And then, so then I've enjoyed my year. It's been so fun. I am very sad that it's almost coming to an
when's
end,
your year
but I'm
up?
glad. My year is up at Agribition. So when I crown on Wednesday night of the rodeo, so the first night of the rodeo, which is the Wednesday, it's the free night too. So anybody can come. The admission to get into the rodeo is free. You just come, find a seat, get some popcorn, get some food, get some drinks, have fun, watch a rodeo. It's super awesome. So the crowning will be during that, I believe, before the rodeo or at the intermission. And I will crown the next girl, and then my year will be up.
Then you're old
but
news.
but I'm not actually retiring yet from being a rodeo queen because I have now been given the chance to run for Miss Rodeo Canada.
Oh, so you're gonna go for the big prize.
So I'm going for the big prize now, and I leave this Saturday. So like September 28th, early in the morning, I get on a flight with all my rodeo queen stuff and I fly to Edmonton to compete for Miss Rodeo Canada at the 50th anniversary of the Canadian Finals Rodeo.
That's awesome. Well, good luck, and I hope you do
Thank
well.
you.
Now, that's an amazing story, and it really shows like the resilience that you could have, even just to jump into something unknown, right? I mean, it was kind of everything made sense. You love horses, you love rodeos, you love this, you're personable, you're easy to talk to. Why not? It kind of all fits, right?
Yeah, like I very much fit the mold requirement wise. Just it was the experience that I was missing. And then throughout my year as Miss Rodeo Agribition, I have gained that experience just from all the rodeos I've attended. I've flown so many flags now. I've had the chance to fly the Canadian flag a few times. And it's been so fun, and it's a very honoring role to be in. And that's why I'm trying to encourage a lot of people, a lot of women to, if you know how to ride a horse and and you think you can do this, just try it. Even the experience alone of just going through the competition is very, very rich and rewarding. Even if you don't win, like it's such a good experience that can help people throughout their life. Like the people you meet as a contestant, you can carry those connections on even if you don't win.
Networking is
you don't
huge,
have to win, and like you don't have to completely walk away from everything forever, which I think is super nice. And then with my association, the reason why I am able to compete for Miss Rodeo Canada is because I represent a Canadian pro rodeo. And you have to represent one of those to be able to run for Canada. It's one of the requirements. And in Saskatchewan, we don't have any. We only have 3 CPRA rodeos. And it's the 2 that are held in Regina, the Pile of Bones Rodeo and the Maple Leaf Finals, and then the one out in Kennedy, Saskatchewan, which is the Moose Mountain Pro Rodeo. Those are the only 3 CPRA rodeos we have. And so for me to be a rodeo queen and now have started to establish this rodeo queen competition, it gives women the chance to then further their rodeo queen career if they would like and move on to compete for Canada. Even if you don't win Canada, the experience is so amazing. And I've talked to so many girls who actually haven't won Canada and who have been like first runner up or dead last. And they've said, even though they didn't win, it was such an amazing, rewarding experience that they will cherish and hold forever. But now they get to move on with their life. They get to do whatever they want, but they have those connections in the future for various things.
Yeah. Now, what about in the welding side? I can see how the welding side supports the rodeo. I mean, even just financially to help you have a horse and stuff. But how has the rodeo stuff helped your welding?
It's helped my welding because I actually have gotten, I think now, 3 job offers from people I have met like in Alberta or around Saskatchewan who have said, yo, come weld for me. and I've honestly I've debated it. Like they've told me, and I still have their connection cards, like, and they said reach out whenever you want. Like right now I am in an apprenticeship with Seedmaster and Sask Apprenticeship. So I have my level 1 and I am working on my level 2 hours, and I'm registered to go for my level 2 training in April of next year. But with Miss Rodeo Canada, it's all up in the air. I don't know if I win Canada, I unfortunately will have to
push school
quit.
back. Yeah,
I'll have to push school back, and I actually have to quit my job.
Oh, really? It's a full-time gig?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a full-time gig, but it's only for a year. And that's what I told myself. Like, it's only for a year. It's a great experience. Exactly. Welding jobs aren't going anywhere. My apprenticeship won't be going anywhere. I told myself I can put it on pause and do this experience for a year because I know in the long run it will severely help and benefit my future. Because if I were to have said no to this opportunity, I would regret it for the rest of my life.
For sure. And what about in terms of your involvement in the welding community? Have you dipped your toes into that? Because that's a whole nother world. Like we have a very successful chapter in Regina, Saskatchewan, across Canada. Have you gotten involved with any of the welding stuff?
I have. I actually have been in contact, and I've helped out Vanessa Miller a lot.
Nice. Women of Advanced Studies. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
the Office to Advance Women Apprentices.
Yes.
And I've worked because she actually lives too very close to me here in White City. So her and I got connected actually when I was still in high school, I believe.
Yeah, she's
And she
amazing.
like helped me a lot. Yeah, and whenever she's hosted little things here and there, she's often asked me like, "Will you come and speak?" And I think of that, and especially now with my rodeo queen title, I get asked a lot to actually come and speak at things, which has been super nice. I actually enjoy public speaking a lot, which is surprising because I get up there and I get so nervous, but then I relax, and
It just goes.
I find it, I find it really easy. And I'm very good at like impromptu stuff. Like
Yeah.
if I forget what I'm talking about, I'll start talking about something else and I will roll with it.
Basically,
yeah,
my life.
like so I've gotten the chance. I've gotten the chance to speak with her a lot, and help with certain events that she's put on, which has been super nice. And I'm very grateful that I have that connection with her, that I'm able to help her out whenever I can, and for her to say, hey, like, you want to come speak at this? Absolutely, I can. And it's been great. And I hope to become more involved in the welding community in the future, because it's something that is really near and dear to my heart. And I want to show people that like this trade exists. These two flies are so annoying. I'm so sorry. I've been watching them out of the corner of my eye.
They're like, we're on
Love
TV.
the hat. Yeah, they love flies are attracted to felt hats for some reason.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Anyways, but I hope to get more connections, and then like kind of work closer with Vanessa maybe in the future and help her out a lot more, because right now I am so busy because I am balancing a rodeo queen career and a welding career, and it takes up a lot of my time.
So
but whenever I can, I try and help her out.
Yeah. So you're heading out on Saturday, you said?
Yes.
So you're not coming to the event on Friday at Sparky's?
No, I can't.
I'm hosting.
I would, but I can't because I have to be on a flight on Saturday. My flight Saturday leaves at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I know those Toronto flights are garbage in the morning.
Well,
Where do you go
I'm
to?
flying Regina, Vancouver, then Edmonton actually.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's quite odd that I have to fly to Vancouver, but oh well.
Yeah, there's not too many direct flights out of Regina, but whatever.
Yeah, there's not many. So whatever. These are the cards I'm dealt.
Yeah,
I'll roll with it. But yeah, I saw that event and I was like, oh,
Well,
I
the
wish I
next
could
one,
go.
there's about
the
8
next
or 9
one.
events a year here in town and it's a great group of people. And you know what? Honestly, like there's the stories, like your story is wonderful and it's really unique. And there's different unique stories from different perspectives all over Canada. And it's wonderful because you get to meet other people that are like, oh, you know, you did Rodeo Queen. Well, I did this, or I did motocross, or I did whatever. And we're also welders, right? Also in this community that connects us.
It's pretty cool to like you meet people like, oh yeah, like we're both welders, but like we also have two completely separate lives outside of welding, and they're two very different things. And I think that's something that's really cool because I've met a lot of people like that. They're like, oh yeah, like I work in the trades, but like also I rope on the side. Like that's super cool to see. Or like, yeah, like I work on a feed lot on the off season from welding. They go work at feedlots all the time, which I think is super cool to see that like a lot of welders actually do have this like double life
we do.
situation going on. And
we're
it's
the king
really
of side
cool
hustles.
We just all really like to keep busy.
Yeah, we can't not work. Like, I mean, that's why we
can't
pick
not do something.
Like people,
but I find that.
Go ahead.
Like, if I have downtime for more than a day, I go bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, okay, what can I go do? And I'm looking for something to do. And like if something's like slightly bit broken, okay, I'm gonna go fix that. And I make it last like a 6-hour job, even though it probably needs to be an hour. Just because I need to do something. I need to keep busy because if I sit at home and do nothing, even half a day, I start going crazy. But I guess it's just because I like constantly to be moving. I like being active, and welding is a trade where you're very active. You're moving. You're on your feet for 10, 12 hours a day. But we do it because we love it.
And you don't even notice. Like it keeps you in shape. I miss that. Like, I mean, as soon as I stopped welding, I got fat. Like I was like, I didn't realize how much it kept me in shape, being up and moving around, swinging hammers and carrying steel around all day. I always knew that I was stronger than most people because welders just get strong. Like it has nothing to do with gymming or working out. It's just
No.
work, right? You just and like
Yeah.
and this is for all people, women, men, tall, short. Welders just get strong. It's like
Oh, yeah.
we're not scared of weight. We're like it's like, oh, that thing looks heavy. I don't care. I'm going to try to lift it. Like
Like, I'll try and lift it. If I can't,
Yeah.
okay, then I'll get
then
help.
I'll get help. But I think I can do this. Like
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's me. Because like I all the time I'll like be carrying like a super heavy thing around a store, and people are like, "Oh my God, do you need help? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm good."
yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm just this tiny person. I'm just walking around with like
This
this big box
Yeah,
that's
this
like
is way lighter
50
than metal.
pounds. Yeah, that's lighter than metal too. And
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "I'm fine."
So what's
I love it though.
what's your goal? You know, you're in apprenticeship, so you're going for that journey person, that red seal. Where do you see yourself going from there? Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur? Do you see yourself working for just companies? I shouldn't say just, but that's a great career. But like working your way up within a company. What would you like to do?
I honestly don't know. But like, yes, I want my journeyman. I want that red seal. But then after that, I think I might take a little break. And I'm not saying like a break forever. And like, I will come back to it because I do love welding. I think I want to have my own truck, and then just do a repair service where go
Mhm.
repair farm equipment for farmers because I know a lot about farm equipment. It's what I work on every day, and I build a lot of things, and so I actually fix a lot of things too, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But I fix a lot of things for my neighbors and everything like that. So, but I'd love to have my own welding truck for sure. And then I want to be that entrepreneur almost. I want to have my own welding business, but then I also want my own horsemanship business as well.
Okay.
I want to really train. I want to get more into my horses again
Mhm.
because a lot of it has mostly got put on pause due to being a rodeo queen. I travel a lot because of that. And then on top of it, I'm a welder. I'm still working a full-time
yeah,
job on top
yeah.
of traveling everywhere. I feel like I don't have a break right now, but it's okay. So I really want to focus a lot more too on my horses, and I'm setting myself up to where I can do both
Yeah.
because both to me I feel make me who I am, and without one, I'm going to be off balance. So I want to be able to do both for the rest of my life. And I think that having my own truck and having my horsemanship stuff is a good way to go for me because then with my own truck, I can pick my hours. I can,
Mhm.
if I want to work a
Schedule
week straight, go
yourself,
fix
yeah,
stuff for
yeah.
people, I can. If I only want to weld for 2 days a week and then the other 5 days, I'm with my horses and training horses or doing whatever, or just I'm going to a few like jackpots or rodeos, then I can do that as well. And so for me, I think that would be the perfect ideal future for me.
Mhm.
And I'm setting myself up slowly for that. And it's nice that my rodeo queen title is helping with that because now my name is out there a lot more. People know the kind of horse person I am. They know the horsemanship skills I have. And like, then people can call me when I start up a business and I can help train horses.
That's awesome. And I've had many students over the years in Saskatchewan go back to their local community and become the local repair welder, and they're doing really well. Like, I mean, there's lots of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winter and summer, because like things break all year round. So.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Oh,
it's,
they do. They do. Trust me. I know. Especially those farm equipment stuff. Oh,
yeah. Well,
tractors
farmers are
and-
pretty
and-
rough on their machines.
oh, yeah. I've seen it firsthand. They can be really hard on their machines.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd love to be that local repair person that everyone can call and I'd come out and repair stuff. I think to me that would be very nice and very ideal. Because then again, like it would I know it'll make me happy in the long run, and I know that I will have a fulfilled life if I'm doing both.
Do you want to learn any blacksmithing stuff, like farrier stuff, like making your own horseshoes and stuff like that? Like, I mean, I go down that rabbit hole almost every night watching on YouTube where I'm like watching hoof repair videos. I don't know why they're so like fun to watch. It's like
I go down the rabbit hole of those on TikTok.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. It's great. Yeah, I do actually want to get into some farrier work as well. I want to learn under a farrier. and learn how to trim horses' hooves and as well as shoe horses, because then eventually I can do it myself and I won't have to pay someone else to go do it for me. Because I'm very big on, I want to be very self-sufficient on myself. I want to be able to have all the skills that I can live off of, and that way then too, it's me doing the work and I don't have to pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Puts more money back in my pocket.
That's right. And then you could do it for other people and put more money in your
Exactly.
pocket. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I really want to be that, I want to be a diverse person.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to offer multiple services
Like
to
the
people.
one-stop shop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I want to be a one-stop shop, and I think I'm working towards that slowly. So that's the goal in life, basically, be a one-stop shop for people to come and get any service from me.
Awesome. Well, we're at the end of the interview. This has been fantastic. These have been really great experiences that you shared with us, and congratulations on all your accolades and the wonderful stuff you've done in such a short
Thank
period.
you.
You're only 20 years old, so that's wild. Like, good for you. But
I've accomplished all of this in 2 years.
yeah, good. That's a busy couple of years, man. Let's ask this question to kind of wrap it up. What kind of advice would you give? Like you see Vanessa make the speeches all the time. She's fantastic. I've actually known her since her 20s. Her, like, I know her kids and stuff. She's a fantastic person. If you were in the same role now, like, you're Ari, you're coming up in the careers, what would you tell like a 14-year-old girl now, like who's just going into high school, not really sure? There's always that pressure to go into university or to go into this, and what kind of advice would you give a young girl that might be thinking trades?
I would say just be yourself, because being yourself, you're staying true to yourself, and you can follow whatever path you want, because it will lead you to a more happy life. And for someone who is 14 at the time, you do think having a bunch of friends is what's most important in that moment, and being that popular person. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and not what's best for other people.
Right.
So staying true to yourself and staying true to who you are will help you far more in the long run than people who are doing things for the sake of pleasing someone else. Because you can always help people. I am a big advocate. Help people, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yourself first.
But if you are bending over backwards for people,
no,
then don't do that. Be true to who you are and stay true to yourself, and then you will get far more out of life than people who are not themselves.
Right. So just be true to your identity and don't let people bring you down, especially greasy yuck dudes at shops.
Yeah.
Awesome, Ari. Well, I know you're gonna have a busy weekend. You're flying out. I hope to see you at the next event here in town.
Absolutely.
We got lots of stuff coming to Regina the next year. Skills National is going to be here in Regina next year.
Yes.
So the largest. Sorry, go ahead.
I met a woman at the airport when I was flying home from Calgary to Regina back in August. And she came out to actually tour, because it'll be in the same building where Canadian Western Agribition is held. And she actually was just in Regina. Like, she was flying to Regina on the same flight that I was coming home. And she said that she was going there to scout out the area for the Skills Canada stuff. So I'm definitely going to try and come to that next year.
Do you remember her name? I bet I work with her sometimes.
Oh.
Was it Marissa? Was it Gail? Was it an older lady, younger lady? Heidi? Was it? Anyways.
Oh, I don't know. If I remember, I will send you an email.
Well, I'm working with the Skills team because Regina's my backyard, right? So I'm working with the Skills team from the CWB angle, the Canadian Welding Bureau, to be like, how can we support this event and make it the awesomest event ever in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull you into that. You're not going to have a choice. It's going to happen now. Sorry. We're going to have
I will.
We'll get you up on a stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would love to come and be a part of it, and I'd love to come even just check it out and be a part of it, because that would be something that's so cool, because it's in our backyard, and how could I not?
And it's huge.
It's just the ideal place to be.
Yeah, it's going to be such a good time. That whole week's going to rock.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Ari, for being on the show. Thanks for taking the time to tell us your story.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and share my experience and knowledge with everyone who will be listening. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Awesome. Any shout outs you'd like to send out to anybody, or is there any way that anyone would want to connect with you, or I don't know what you're comfortable with. So
if people want to connect with me, you can message me currently still right now on Miss Rodeo Miss Rodeo Agribition Instagram and Facebook pages, as well as I do have personal social media as well. Ari_Dyck on Instagram, Ari Dyck on Facebook. Message me. I will see your message requests, even though my accounts are private for obvious reasons right now.
Mhm.
But I will still see your requests and I will answer any questions people have. And as well, if you're looking for information on becoming a rodeo queen or running for Miss Rodeo Agribition, if you are a female between 19 and 26 years old, living in Saskatchewan, go to agribition.com/Miss Rodeo Agribition, and you can find the application form there or any information about me. And if you have any more questions regarding Canadian Western Agribition, go to agribition.com and ask away, or you can call us. We have a phone number that you can call.
Oh, that was a great plug. You were ready for that. You were on. You were ready for that.
I was told what to say and how to say it.
Good. Well, I'm glad I gave you the spot to say it there at the end.
Yes,
So that's
thank
perfect.
you.
And we will share this information on the social media when it goes out to public. So when this gets released in a couple weeks, we'll make sure that all that information is there too.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
All right. And for all the listeners that have been following along, thanks so much for being a part of Ari's journey and for supporting the show. Just this week, we broke 50,000 downloads. We are still the second largest podcast in North America for the trades. So we are loving the success, but really the success has to do with my team back at CWB. Shout out to my amazing staff that do such a great job. And the guests, really. Without the guests, we're nothing. So thank you so much. And let's keep going. Let's keep growing. Make sure you keep downloading, sharing, and commenting us. And we also have a fan mail feature on our website now for Buzzsprout. So if you go to Buzzsprout to where our podcast is hosted from, you can send in fan mail as well. And if you have any questions, we'll try to answer them on air. So let's see how that goes. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you at the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed the show.